Hi Friends is a podcast hosted by me, Dallas Wilson, cannabis enthusiast and Black Indigenous artist. Join me each week as I use cannabis with guests. Hi Friends is all about providing a safe, judgment-free space for Black and Indigenous folks to have a meeting of the minds. Through these herbal chats, we will be learning and gaining new tools to have healthier, healing conversations in the moment. Thank you for tuning in, and happy smoking! Hi friends! All right, welcome to our next episode of Hi Friends. Today, I'd like to welcome a guest, my friend, Christian Henley. So Christian is doing his own podcast, Big Talk with Christian Henley. You can find that on Spotify. He's also an actor, working on production as well, entrepreneurship, and I did a photo shoot with him, so you can say he's a model as well. Hi, Christian.
Hello, Miss Dallas. Hello.
Okay, was there anything I was missing? Anything you want to add?
No, you did a fantastic job. I would, in fact, if anything, I'd say you could take out model. You did a great job of making me a model for the day, but I could hardly say.
You had some skills. Come on.
I'm telling you, I'm putting it all on the camera woman. You know, you did that. So.
Thank you.
I'll take it for the day. Sure, model.
So I start off every episode with checking my blood sugar. So I'm just gonna prick my finger and just see how we're doing here. I'm trying to think. I was like, how did I feel this morning? I was like a little frazzled and a little sweaty. So I was like, maybe my blood sugar is high. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I'm 186. I don't know if everyone can see that. So to be in range, your blood sugar for me should be between like 80 and 140. So 186 is a little bit higher than that. So I'm gonna give myself a little bit of insulin. This is like turning into like a whole big thing. Yeah, but this is what I have to do every day. Christian, do you know any other diabetic people?
Well, you know what? My mother had diabetes. Well, you know, is it diagnosed?
She was diagnosed with diabetes?
Diagnosed with diabetes a few years back. So her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she would be type 2 or type 1?
I have no idea.
I have type 1 diabetes, which is the one where you're insulin dependent. A lot of people who are type 2, they don't need external insulin. They just alter their diet, take a pill like metformin, stuff like that.
Type 2.
Type 2. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry that, my breathing was a little bit aberrated, I guess. But we kind of spoke about this offline, but I'm a little bit squeamish. And so I'm sorry, but it's like funny because I'm not experiencing it. I'm just watching it. And so if I'm responding to it this way, I can only imagine to do it every day.
Right. When I was younger, I used to have these moments where I would be out in public or out at restaurants. And like, as a little kid, I just had no discretion. I was just like, woo, like, giving myself insulin and just taking care of myself. And there was a couple of times where like, maybe a kid or something with their mom would see me doing that and they would be like, oh, and like, kind of like flinch or turn. And I remember my mom seeing this happen and seeing the wheels in my head turning. And she looked at me and was like, no, you still need to give yourself insulin. Like, people might be uncomfortable, but this is your chronic illness. So it's not up to you to make people feel comfortable. And that really stood out to me. And so when people flinch or people feel uncomfortable, I'm just reaffirmed. I'm like, it's not about me. Like, I understand. Like, yeah,
that's beautiful. That's, and I think, first of all, I don't know. Is this like, I don't know the format. Is it a conversation more so, or is it more like question and answer?
Conversation.
Okay. So, oh shucks, I think I forgot it. But I think I was gonna say, damn, I forgot. Sorry, I forgot.
You're fine. You're great.
Hi, friends.
Speaking of, so today I'll be smoking. I rolled a couple of J's. I'm going to be smoking OG Kush, which is a balanced hybrid, which means it has both indica and sativa, but it's pretty balanced. And will you be participating? What will you be consuming today?
You know what? I'm not going to be smoking weed today, but I did bring just to like partake in some libation. I have a little. I guess it's like kind of almost a half shot of Casamigos tequila.
Tequila, hey! Sorry, let me get this out. Perfect. Okay, so for all of the guests who cannot watch it, who are just listening, I am lighting up now. Okay, cheers.
Cheers to high friends.
So Christian and I met through a mutual friend. I met Christian in LA in Inglewood. I was dating your friend at the time, Mr. Pratyush, yes. And through that meeting, I learned a little bit more about what you were doing and that you had gone to film school. Remind me your university again?
I went to Morehouse College for undergrad, and I went to University of Southern California for grad school for acting.
Mm-hmm.
A little different than the film school. I just want to make that little, Pratyush went to, and you actually say my friend's name better than I say it. But so I call him PD. PD and Pratyush, the same person. He went to the film school where I went to the acting school.
Okay, so that was like your main goal, like, because you went to Morehouse in Georgia?
In Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah.
In Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, so you left LA. You were born in LA, left LA to go to university. How long were you out of California?
Born in Detroit. It's all good. Born in Detroit, but only born there. So I see how, that happens all the time because I was only born there. And then my mother came back to Los Angeles like 2 weeks after she had me, and then raised in LA until I was about 13 years old. And then I moved to Georgia. And was that your question? When did I move to Georgia?
Yeah, so you went to university there.
Yeah, I went to undergrad university in Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia.
And you thought about staying there after university, or were you like very ready to come back to California?
I was very ready to come back to California. I knew that I was going to come back. I didn't enjoy it when I first got there. It got a little bit because I did high school there, and it got a little bit better. Actually, a lot better. Not even a little bit. It got a lot better when I went to college. Yeah. But I still missed, my father's side of my family was on, in California, including my father, right? And I didn't grow up with them, but I did want at some point to get to know them.
Right.
More intimately. So I was like, and my friends, and my life, I feel like at 14, 13 years old, you're kind of just getting into the real crux of your life, and to be kind of uprooted. I kind of was always yearning to come back to that.
And I think that's one of the things that I connected with you on, was because, I was born in LA, and then I moved away to Maryland when I was 6, and then grew up there in Maryland, and then went away to Pittsburgh for university, my undergrad, and where I studied like English. And then I did my master's degree in photography, like fine art, in Northern Ireland. So I was living abroad for 6 years, but it had been years and years and years since I had even really been back to California. And for me, I think there was just a pull to kind of get that connection, like kind of how you were talking about the connection with your dad's side of the family and your dad and everyone and old friends and things. For me, it was like the same. Like I wanted to come back to California to get reconnected with like the roots, and like my mom's side of the family is the one who's from California. So just getting reunited with that. But I never saw in Pittsburgh. It was really dope. For me, Pittsburgh is what reunited me with like my culture, like Blackness, because where I grew up in Maryland, it was very white and not a lot of diversity. And then in Pittsburgh, not only did they have like an Africana Studies program at my university, and just like a Black Action Society, which I became a part of, like the student union kind of thing. And for me, that's what I really took away from the Pittsburgh experience, but I didn't want to stay there. I didn't want to live there.
Yeah. No, I hear that. That's cool. And so you thought that you would go back to Maryland after school?
I think my family thought that I would go back to Maryland. I started dating someone from Northern Ireland when I was in my undergrad in Pittsburgh. I was working at a diabetes camp actually over the summer. And for 3 summers, I was going back and forth to Maryland to work at this camp. And maybe like the second year I was working there, I started dating a guy from Northern Ireland who had done like a Camp America experience or whatever.
Wow.
But he told me about his university in Belfast. It was pretty well known, Queen's University, give it a shout out. And from meeting him, I found out that my school had a sister program with his school. So I did a semester abroad. I went out there. I was like living with him for a little bit. And that's really what started me living abroad. But then after Thailand, it was the pandemic that brought me back. I wasn't really planning to move back to America. But I always said if I did move back, I would go back to California, which is where I'm at now in San Diego.
Wow. Okay. So you're a woman of your word. You did exactly.
Yeah, I gotta make it happen. So now that you're in LA, I mean, you just did like a little film festival. Some work that you've been working on was nominated. So do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like what you've been working on?
Absolutely. So the show is called What Do You Do? And it's a non-scripted interview style show where I interview people about what they do and the steps that they took to get there or the steps that led them there. So a very simple concept, straightforward, but necessary in it that I feel like a lot of people, specifically minorities, the BIPOC community, we've been excluded from a lot of industries historically in this country. And from high level positions in the few industries or the number of industries that we were accepted in. And so there's a lot of occupations that we don't inherently know exist that are high earning occupations. And just occupations that our skill sets naturally might, aid in doing a good job or having a good time doing it, being fulfilled by it, that we just don't know exist. And so I just felt like it was necessary to have that type of exposure. And so that's the show. And so I sit down with people and I just talk to them about what they do. And it's got to be the thing that they love. It can't be like a side hustle. It's got to be the thing that they love.
Like where the passion is. Yeah.
Where the passion is. And a lot of times some people found their jobs, because I think this is interesting too, like people in our generation and older, younger, we feel lost at times. Like we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what path we're on. We're kind of just searching and we're kind of like blowing in the wind, not knowing that really the journey is attracting us, and like this is still curated steps specifically for the thing that you're going to ultimately find that you love to do and you're not necessarily lost. And so that's all. So yeah,
that's
and so
awesome.
So the show is now, in the festival, the Micheaux Film Festival, that was just at the Chinese Theater. This is the 3rd year that they're doing it for filmmakers of color and minorities. So obviously that runs like the LGBT spectrum and women and the colors and cultures and all the stuff, so all the stuff. And so it was a lot of fun. We're nominated for Outstanding Talk Show, although ours is not really a talk show, but that's the category we were in. We did not win this time, but next time we will.
But you got nominated. That's great to get some like notoriety, to get the name out there and get the project out there for people to start having it on their radar.
So shameless plug, if you're interested in seeing any of our work, you can find us YouTube channel, What Do You Do? Series, What Do You Do? Series. And on YouTube.
Awesome. On YouTube. I love having like the visual aspect of it, like with the Hi Friends part. I mean, it's a little bit extra work, like doing like the editing and everything, but for me, it's cool for people to have a visual with the audio as well.
I definitely.
I would say, like, do you think that you've ever had a chapter in your life where you felt a little lost? Because I was thinking about it as you were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I've definitely had those moments where it's like, what should I be doing, or should I even use the word should? Like, should it be free flowing, or
You know what? I will say that absolutely. I've felt this forever, and even still today, there's a level of me not being sure that, my efforts are not in vain.
Mm.
Um, but I will say that that doesn't and has never it's not never stopped me from continuing to be the way I am, like maintaining my curiosity, going down a path until I feel like it's not serving me anymore, and not feeling like, oh, I can never pivot, or thinking that that was, not valuable, the steps that I took just because I'm doing something different. Um, now. So there's a level of me feeling like, yes, I am lost, I am drifting, but also not lost, I'm searching. And one is, to me, passive, one's active, and uh so yeah, but ironically, right now, I really do feel like I've met my path. That is the one for me. I feel like very recently, it could have been earlier, but I'm 31 years old, and I really do feel like I've met my path that I'm supposed to be on. And everything else, all the searching I was doing beforehand, was honestly preparing me for this
Leading
particular
you,
path.
yeah, to this point.
Yeah.
So how do you, what, can you describe to our viewers and listeners like what that felt for you when it kind of clicked, when you're like, oh, okay, yes, I
Hmm.
need to be doing this, this, and this in order to get to this point, and that end is the goal, blah, 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 blah. Like what did it feel like?
You know what? For me, it's like the show "What Do You Do?" Right? Very simple. Um, and it's also like this tattoo I have. You can see that's just a line. It's just a line. Very simple. And I think that's kind of like you know, what it was like when it kind of just finally clicked was like, oh, I don't. It's not rocket science. It's not this high concept, extremely complicated idea of what I should be doing. It's like, this makes sense. Duh. This is who I am naturally.
Mhm.
I love asking. I'm curious. I love asking people questions. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. So why wouldn't I love learning? So why wouldn't I have a show that's What Do You Do? Of course. Why wouldn't I do things where I get to interact with people and just kind of excavate stories? I love that. I
Mhm.
would do that for free. I
Anyway,
would do that
yeah.
anyway. So if there's a way that I could turn it into something and help and do it so other people might be able to like peer in on that process for me, then of course I shouldn't have to like, I won't say I shouldn't have to, but I didn't have to like contort myself into ways like, well, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm doing. No, it's like, who are you?
Yeah.
Follow your bliss, and it's simple. For me, it's simple. It's not, it's what's right there in your face.
I think it's simple for some people when you are aware of who you are and what works for you, since
Yeah.
coming back to the States and having like more intimate conversations, I think, with people and kind of like one-on-one and trying to really understand who they are as well and how they navigate this world. I'm
Yeah.
realizing that it's not everyone is very aware of what they want to do. And I think a lot of people are very comfortable with letting themselves float with the status quo, like, I'll get this job and this job will be enough to get me to this point, or to like, so that I can survive or whatever. But I think a lot of people aren't really happy with what they're doing. So for me, it's really great to meet other people who they are, know what they want, have a standard for what they want, and then, won't accept anything less.
Yeah. Yeah. I Yeah, that's great. I mean, this morning again on my hike, I was thinking, kind of about what you just said, and like I know, like there's a lot of ills in the United States of America,
Yeah.
but I also, and this is where I think, given previous conversations, you and I may differ.
Yeah,
Um,
let's talk about it.
yeah, but I actually really enjoy, some people. This is what I was thinking about my hike. I guess some people are just natural entrepreneurs, like that's just what calls them, and some people are
Yeah.
not. Um, and the entrepreneur in me, the natural entrepreneur in me, really enjoys the way this thing is set up. And by this thing and set up, I'm talking about the way either just the States, or I think it's not just the States. I think it really is maybe just the Western world, in it that you have a dream as an entrepreneur, you have an idea, If you are able to be resourceful, if you are able to be confident, if you are able to do what you have to do to get your idea from here, into the world, and make people see it and believe in it, then you will be rewarded. Now, whether that be financially, whether that be from your peers who are applauding you, whether that be from yourself thinking like, oh, you did this outside of the fear, outside of the barriers, or whether that be your family or whatever, you will be rewarded. Um, and so I think that's actually a beautiful, I love that. I love this. I love it.
Do you
So yeah.
think that you are so attracted to our capitalistic society I would argue, yes, the Western world, but even globally, really?
Yeah.
Would you argue that the attraction there is that there is a give and take, there is something that you will always receive if you work, or there's an idea of that?
Wait. There's an idea that I will always receive if I work.
Yeah, like if you are working and putting, I don't know. So for me, let's like, because I don't like the way that our society, I mean, I'll just put it out there. I don't like the capitalistic society. I think it all stems from racism and a hierarchy. In order for this capitalistic society to work and function, there has to be some people who are disenfranchised, who are being oppressed, and who are not having access to those dreams that you say. And
Right.
even these dreams that you say that are available for people in America, it's like that in and of itself, I feel like is a falseness. It's a false dream. Like, the way that our society was created, it's like there's only rich, wealthy billionaires now because we Black people were
Right.
oppressed and doing free labor. That's it. The only reason why there's billionaires is because our people were oppressed. And to think that we live in a society now where it's like we should be like working and all of that, I don't know, it's hard because I do believe in work. Like I do like, but I think maybe the word work and create is what I want to interchange. I
Hmm.
believe in creating. I
Hmm.
don't really believe in this idea of like working for like money as like my driving force, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I on that last point that you just said, as far as like interchanging the word work with create,
Yeah.
I think that's great. I love that. And because that is like when talking about alchemizing an idea until its like physical equivalent, that is essentially create. So even if you are doing something that you want to call corporate, like you have IBM, um,
Yeah.
IBM started as an idea, even though it's like a corporation, it's still you creating something, and then from that, that's creation. I feel that. But what you said before about like billionaires are only billionaires, some of them are only billionaires because of like the work that the free labor that our ancestors put in. Absolutely. And I personally will have to say, I'll be the first one. I'm no political savant, I'm no political expert, and I'm not a historian.
Yeah.
So, and I know that obviously this country has some very ugly history and ugly current, and that it's not fair. I don't know how. I don't know exactly what's going on. I don't know that I have the solutions to it. But what I will say is that, and I'm obviously privileged to be born in the States. But given what it is today, given where my uh, I have two choices really. I could either do what I can to like put forth what's inside of me out, or I could not. You know what I
I
mean?
feel like,
I
yeah, the
Because I agree with you. I think it's nasty. I think it's ugly. But that's not mutually exclusive from me having ideas and putting them out in the world. That's it. That's the part I love about it, is that I can have an idea and I have the freedom to put it out into the world.
do you think that like the capitalism part, or the idea that you can reach the point of like the Jay-Z's, the, you know, the Kanye West, like that like the billionaire status or whatever in our society? Do you think that is something that you chase maybe? Or that is part of like the dream that you have to get to that like big status?
To be a Jay-Z or a Kanye West, I can't say that I'm chasing that. What I am chasing though is it's like if I was an enslaved human being, and like indentured servitude, you worked so that you could buy yourself freedom,
Yeah.
right? If I was an indentured servant, I wouldn't find anything wrong. Yes, I can be like, damn it, can I curse?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll look around and be like, damn, it's fucked up. We're in chains working for that person who's not. I will absolutely say that. But at the same time, I'm going to say, but I'm going to work to get out of these chains. If that's the rules, is that I have to put in work and then one day I'll be able to like buy myself freedom. Oh, absolutely. So I have to look at the reality of the situation that I'm in and know that my ancestors who weren't able to buy themselves out of their chains, and now I have chains on, and all I have to do is have confidence, is have an idea, is have a dream, is go after it every single day, and then I'll be able to buy my freedom. I'm gonna do that.
But there are other options. And I guess like what I'm curious about, and I'm not saying that your way of thinking is like problematic or wrong. I think it's just different from the way that
Yes,
I think.
yes,
Because I guess the way that I would see it, I wouldn't see it as like two options to just be a part of that system, or like, you know, I don't know. For me, I would think of like what ways to break
well,
out of it, you know.
well, that's okay. So exactly. So we have the same goal. We're trying to break out of it. We can agree there that we have the same goal to break out of the chain,
Break
right?
out of it, yeah.
To break out of the chain. We both have that goal.
Yeah.
My method is buy my way out of it. Your method is what? Because honestly, I see the two alternatives. If you can present to me you said that those aren't the only two options. What is another one? I haven't considered them, and I would love to hear them because then perhaps I'll take them.
Yeah. Let me think about it.
You know?
I mean, I guess you hear now, I guess if I'll use this scenario to like modern day, like you have people who have like broken out of this society and created their own societies within ours, you know? But as far as like a large scale thing, I guess we haven't seen it. Like we haven't seen something where it's like, okay, fuck this government that's already been created. Let's do our own like mutual aid thing. Like as a community, let's just govern ourselves. Like, but if you think about it, there's enough people in our society here in America where we could just be like, you know, the government, it hasn't been working for us. Let's just run ourselves, you know?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I guess I was saying like, what option do you have for me?
Oh, for you on a tangible level.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like starting your own business, and like, so instead of kind of like working for big corporations or whatever, being like, what I'm a fan of is being mindful of how you're being a part of the system, being mindful of with like where the currency is, who you're working for, who you're providing services for. And I'm not saying that you're not being ethical with that, but I'm just saying this is just something that I tell everyone, just to be like, do the research. And like, if you started your own company, then it would kind of be like you are the one at the top, you know, like kind of deciding what, like who you're serving or who you're working.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is what I was kind of saying. It's like as an entrepreneur, you
Right.
get to kind of create that in this
Yeah.
like dirty, nasty system.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, you get to kind of do your own thing, and by that freedom, you get to have that freedom when you create your own, and then you can operate within this nasty system in a way that you find to be ethical, in a way that you find to kind of go and help others and make societies or communities more equitable. And so that's available to us, I think, as someone who, though it's only available to us as someone who says, okay, I have an opportunity in this to blaze my own trail, to put forth my ideas, to be compensated, whether that be financial, whether that be people want to work with, you know, people want to work with me, and then I can start to affect change in the ways in which I think to be beneficial for us. So that's why I like this place, is because I agree it's nasty, and I agree there's a lot of bad. Uh, but if you want to do good, you can.
Right. I like that. If you want to do good, if you want to have positive change and positive effects on others, like everyone has an equal opportunity, I think, to do that, even just from a person to person, how you communicate with others, just, yeah.
It's like if you're because I think about it too, and I'm sorry, am I talking too much?
No, I'm rolling. Sorry, I'm rolling another joint.
Okay, no problem.
I'm listening.
Um, it's like if I want muscles, right? And I do because I need the muscles. Or if I want to lose weight, let's see. I have to go to the, I don't just get to say I wish to gain, muscle, and then I get a bicep and some chest and a six pack. I can't just say that.
You have to put in that work.
Have to put in the work, and I have to do it every day, or often. Not every day, but be consistent with it. And so I really believe that is a method. That's the design. So like working is not a bad thing. I mean, with nothing here, in order to get food out of the ground, we have to plant the seed, we have to till the soil, we have to harvest the crops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have to work to
for
be
everything.
here.
Yeah.
That's the design. And so just taking that and placing it into like a society, we also have to work. Do we have to work for a man? Do we have to work for a person? No,
Right.
but we do have to work.
I think like maybe it's the word work that's making me like, ugh. I'm like, we do have to put out effort and energy, whether that be for relationships, for like growing, like you said, self-growing, business, making a profit, all that stuff. So to create and put out, energy, it's definitely a part of this society.
We have to
I feel like
spend energy. You have to spend energy. I like
yeah. I feel like since coming back to America, I've been noticing a different vibration. So I believe in like energies and vibrations and like spirit stuff. Like I'm very much into that. But where I was in Thailand and even before that, Northern Ireland, it was a very different energy just from the land and from the people,
Yeah.
A little bit slower, a little bit more, I feel like, compassionate in a way, but also the shadow side of all of these places, because we all have a shadow side, right? So even the shadow side of these countries was like, corruption with like police and stuff like that, all that stuff. So not every place is perfect, but since coming back to America, I'm realizing there's a different energy here. It's just like faster. Everything is so like fast paced, and I find myself just tired. Like everyone, a lot of the people, like my family, a lot of my friends, they're just really focused on like working all the time and not taking a break. Like I believe in taking breaks and like letting your body like relax and taking moments to like get to know people and
Yeah, I feel that. I absolutely agree. I was talking to somebody from Egypt a couple of weeks ago rather, and she's just went back, and she was making mention of something, how like, like you were saying, that compassion that you just feel, the energy that you feel there is much different than in the States. Like people are just more separate. Like it's more just like and it kind of goes to something I would say, like I've been saying for like the past couple of years is, you know, if I want to raise a family, I likely will not raise them in the States, because I think I've come to this conclusion that the United States, on a global scale, obviously, the United States is like really not a country. So like if you go to Spain, if you go to Thailand, if you go to other places, Egypt, they have traditional values like family values and like culture and like deep cuisine history of like this is from thousands of years, these people here, where the United States kind of erased the country, if you will, that was here with the natives, and like put on top of it literally a monopoly game. So this country that we call a country, it's really just a bunch of businesses, a bunch of independent businesses really. And so I don't look at this place, and that might be the difference that I approach versus other people. I'm not looking to get from the United States what I would expect to get from a Spain, that I would expect to get from a country from around the world that has different values.
Yeah,
This
for
place
sure.
is a monopoly board.
Yeah.
So you come here to make money or do whatever you want to do.
That's literally what it is when we think about immigrants and people who
Exactly.
choose to come to America. Some of the
Exactly.
time, of course, they are like escaping war and famine. Yes, of course. But a lot of the times it's like the money and the opportunity to
The
have
opportunity. The
like
opportunity.
a
Exactly.
big, yeah, the opportunities. But for me, I mean, I've lived abroad in 2 different countries and have traveled a lot, a lot, a lot. And all I ever remember being told, like when I was growing up, is like it would be impossible to raise a family abroad. Like you just don't travel once you have kids. And I'm like, nah, that was the adults' experiences were like talking to me. But once you're abroad and you see other people, like I had friends who had kids abroad and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it's like
Definitely.
yeah, I think that emphasis on family and like culture and like more unified traditions is really something that I enjoy. I feel like now I'm the kind of person who I've traveled so much that I've just taken bits of the cultures and traditions
Yeah.
from all of these places that I really like and that I really like fuck with. And I'm like, okay, I'm creating my own sense of, yeah,
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Like I'm like 99% sure I will not be raising my kids in the States. I mean, come here and hang out and do whatever, but like raise my no, no, no. Like if I were to have a child in the next 9 months, knock on wood, 10 months, I'll probably be in Portugal to be
yeah.
honest, or some. Yeah, easy, easy. This is not a place to raise, in my opinion. This isn't a place to raise a black child.
Right. Ah. Okay. So as a Black man, where has some of your favorite places to travel been?
Well, to be honest, I've only been a few places out of the country. I've been to China, and then I went on a cruise, uh, and I went a bunch of different places in South America. But really, for an extended amount of time, I only went to China, study abroad trip, and I went twice in undergrad. So, but I would love to go to South America.
South America, yeah.
Yeah,
So when you were
yeah,
in China, were people like treating you kind of like an anomaly? Like, oh,
yeah,
Black.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And it was the time Barack Obama was the president, so you walk around with that, Obama, Obama, Obama. They call you Obama just because.
Yeah.
Um, or like they want to, touch your hair, or they just want to take a picture with you, or of you,
Yeah.
just because.
Yeah.
So as a black man, you kind of almost do feel like a celebrity at times, and also, you know, the lowest of lows. There's been like I remember somebody asked, I don't know if this was said to me or said to one of the people in my group, but it was definitely said, where they asked if like someone was just dirty, if like the brown was just because of dirt.
Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What the fuck?
So you have stuff like that as well on top of like the admiration. You go to the basketball courts and everyone's like, my team, Kobe,
Yeah,
Kobe,
yeah.
Kobe, Kobe. So it runs the gambit.
It was like that in Thailand. I had some of the most like amazing experiences in Southeast Asia when it came to like my self-confidence with like color and culture, right? And then
Yeah,
some lowest of lows. Like I was working at this international school as a first grade teacher. And when you're from a different country working in Thailand, you have to do a lot of like visa and immigration stuff. And a lot of that is done at like the police headquarters or whatever. And like they'll have to fingerprint you and things like that and create like a working card. It's kind of like a green card situation,
yeah, yeah.
which was my whole understanding of what was, the visa immigration thing. But I remember going to this one place and it was me and several of my white coworkers, all teachers, and we're like waiting to get like fingerprinted. And then when it comes to me, this guy's like looking at me and then he's like whispering to his guy all Thai, right? So I know how to speak Thai, but conversationally I'm not fluent. So you start hearing words, And I was just like, what are they like? Why is it taking so long? You know, like I just want to like go so I can get out of here. And the guy basically like didn't want to touch me. He called over someone else to do my fingerprint because he didn't want to touch me because I was Black. And I
Wow.
was just like, like, you know, like when you deal with bullshit like racism in America and you're used to kind of like white on Black racism kind of like situation.
Yeah.
But like abroad, it's just like, there is this whole thing with colorism as well, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's wild. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. I've got my opinions on the subject. We might get into them, but absolutely, it's crazy.
What do you think, like, for you, what did that do to your psyche when you were living out there and experiencing some of the highs and lows?
Did absolutely nothing to my psyche. Yeah, I have actually been someone who I never cared, or I'm gonna say either felt or cared or allowed it to really penetrate, to be honest. I don't know why, I don't know how. I grew up in Los Angeles, maybe that's a part of it.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, because I grew up in Los Angeles, then I moved to Georgia, where it was obviously more binary. In Georgia, more a plurality to it, Black and white.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't care. I really, if they did that, oh, dirty or whatever, I'm just like, my opinion is like, most of the, hey, look, the world's racist. And listen, this is gonna sound really bad, but to me, a lot of people don't understand the power of their mind. And that's the part that, like, honestly, when it comes to like this whole racism thing and the part that really affects me, I was having this conversation the other day and it was actually really getting to me. But the part that really affects me is not because people are racist or whatever. It's that you aren't applying your mind at all. Like, you are allowing yourself to be manipulated by what? Like, if I were to ask you and go down, like if I talk to somebody and they had like a reason as to why they didn't like all of this entire group, I'd be like, all right, I obviously, I don't agree, but I actually fuck with the idea that you have a reason as to why you feel this way towards this group.
But like in all of those situations where someone would have a reason, right? Hypothetically, it's just impossible for the whole group of any people to have done something to that one person. So that makes you think, okay, this is a case by case basis. You had a sour interaction with someone and now you're projecting that onto the whole group. And for me, it does affect me because there's no reason that anyone should be doing that. There is no reason. That's the thing,
Well, I agree with you. And I don't think, like, I wasn't going to say that I think it is intelligent to do what they're doing.
Right.
But at least they think they have a reason. So obviously, if you were to dig deeper, I would feel like, well, that's still silly to apply your limited experiences, well, let's just say 3 people from a larger group to the entire group. That's obviously also stupid. But before we get there, before we get that house that stupid, at least have reasons as to why you don't like these 3 people or this one person. And then, but some people don't have any reason. They're just like, ooh, like, for example, not to talk about people in particular, but like, obviously there's a lot of different cultures, even in South America, where colorism's around the world, right? So let's say within one culture, let's say everyone's Puerto Rican. But the lighter skinned Puerto Ricans don't, they discriminate against the darker skinned Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So it's like, you are really just have an issue because this person's color is slightly darker than yours. Yeah. Have you checked? Are you applying your mind? Have you questioned why you think that way? Or are you just blindly accepting things and being manipulated by things and never questioning? You might as well you might as well not be alive. I'm not telling you to go die, but you might as well not be alive if you're not going to apply your mind. Because that is the greatest asset, the greatest thing that we could ever have is our mind. That's why we're alive, so that we can exercise our minds. So if you're going to have something as silly and trivial as colorism be the thing that hangs you up, to me, you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. And that's the part that affects me. The fact that you're racist, I don't give a fuck, actually. I really don't care, because that's more on you. That doesn't actually do anything to me.
But it does like that, but that is what racism is. The true definition of racism is to limit the life chances. And that's what it is. These microaggressions, all that stuff, it does limit our life chances. It feeds into the psyche of the society that we live in. So for me, like,
to me, systemic racism, yes, does that. Individual prejudice.
Racism, man, even on a personal level, like even if, you know, like kids who have that white friend who says the N-word and they're like, it's fine, they're basically Black, it's all good. They can say like stuff like that, like it's all fucked up, like, you know?
Yeah, it's fucked up, but do you allow that to affect your day?
So this is also where I want to bring this up. I'm an empath. I do believe that I am built differently than others, like, you know what I mean? I think people who are very empathic and people who have a deeper level of feeling things, like it affects, you know, and it takes me a little bit longer to heal from moments that are kind of triggering and traumatic like that, you know?
Can I
There
ask
were
you why
times.
that affects you?
Hmm?
Can I ask you why that affects you? What about it affects you? I'm curious.
Like when I experienced like racism?
Well, let's use that specific example you just gave, as far as like if you're in a group and like your white friend or your friend has a white friend who says like the N-word.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. I'm high as fuck. Okay.
And I think that's probably why we both need to be high, because like I'm, you know, like, but that's the question. Like, you know, you're in a situation.
Why would that bother me?
Yeah,
because the word is so hateful, right? It bothers me even when Black people say it, to know that there was a word created by humans. And that's what words are. That's what language is. We create them. We are responsible for them. We are responsible for their meaning and their use, you know? So to know that there was a word created to dehumanize and animalize us as Black people, and that it was used most definitely against people that are blood related to us, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is such a hateful word that was so commonly used. And for people now to say like it's okay to use it because we're reclaiming it, why would you ever want to reclaim such a horribly hateful, dehumanizing word, you know? So for me, what hurts about it is not only like seeing it come out of white lips, but also to see Black people in those environments where they're like, this is okay to me. I feel comfortable with this word looming around me, the energy that's around this word. I'm okay with that being like, to me, when I hear that word, even thinking about that word, like puts an energy in my body that just like, you know, and this is what I mean about the empath. I don't know if this is how I don't think this is how everyone feels about it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard to.
And I hear that, and I feel that. Like, I don't like when Black folks say it either, or I don't. Yeah, I'm not like the biggest fan of when Black folks say it either, or when anybody says it. But I will say, for me, it's a little bit different for me, just because it's like we will never. It's like, for example, they used to call us the N-word, and they used to call us a Negro, then it was colored, and then it was African American, and so all these words are changing because we eventually end up assigning the derogatory feeling with the word, and so we just change the word because the derogatory feeling around the word eventually comes to it. So we change it from Nigger to Negro, because Negro at the time was better than Nigger. But then eventually Negro felt a little bit nasty. Then we changed it to colored, and then colored eventually said, so we're going to continue to change the word. So eventually African American probably won't work. You know what I mean? So like,
Well, that doesn't work for me now. Like, I don't know.
It doesn't work for you now, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
More people are going to begin to feel like you. Whereas there's a time your mother probably enjoyed the word African.
Preferred it, yeah.
Preferred it. So this is the thing for me about going back to our conversation. I have to look at, there's two parts. When someone says the N-word, there's two parts to this. There is the intention in which it was said, and then there's the word. And so we will never get language right, because language is actually the most insignificant part of communication, is the word that I say. It's the intention behind the word that I say, what I'm looking to communicate. So we can all day long try to make communication perfect by adjusting the words. That will never do us right, as we've seen in history. What we have to look at, in my opinion, is the intention and the heart behind people. And so if I can more effectively, or if I can, that's not the right way to say that. If I can focus on the heart, then I don't care about the word. And so that's me. So when, when someone, a nasty person over there, I hate to say nasty person, but when someone says the N word and their intention is negative, one, that does nothing to me. That literally is a reflection of everything going on the inside of them. That is a revert, that goes so far. If I don't like associate with that. So I don't care about the word. I don't care that you say that, because that's just a word. One day you could say African American and someone's going to be like, that's offensive. So the word doesn't matter. It's who you are and what you're saying. And honestly, that is truly, truly a reflection of you. And that's only the person it's going to affect. And then I'll be done. Can I say this and then I'll be done? Yeah. I talk a lot. I'm sorry. For example, to look at this phenomenon in a different light. Yeah. When someone is creating something, let's say they have like a podcast, right? And it's not, extremely high, produced or whatever, but they're doing what they can. And someone else is sitting back, like criticizing heavily that person's podcast, right? Like, oh my God, there's not even, the sound quality is not good. And what are they talking about? They need to edit, and this is too long. And they're doing all this. That person who's doing all that heavy criticism is going to have the toughest time putting anything out in the world. Yeah. I've noticed that. Why? Because they are going to criticize themselves the same way they're criticizing everyone else.
Absolutely. And I feel like there's a karmic weight to that. I do believe that the words that we say and also the thoughts that we do have an energy and a vibration that have an equal return, but of the opposite, effect sometimes. So like, if you are putting out good thoughts and positivity, and like you're promoting people in your community and, even offering help, and that's something that I've been thinking about lately, or I've found interesting, like when to help and do free work, or when to kind of like pass on it because there's no like financial whatever, like, that's part of it too. But I feel like if in general, like you're living your life with trying to like be more positive and uplift, then that will make a huge difference with your success in life as well,
Yeah. I really feel like we're all on our own individual journeys. We have our own curriculums, and everything that we do it's here, it's for us, it's with us. And if we can show up for ourselves, then those around us, but then it's like it's an individual and it's collective. That's just, in my opinion, that's just the way the designer made it. And we're never going to understand that, but because it doesn't make sense. How can it be individual and collective? But nothing really. That's the yin and the yang. Nothing makes sense. Duality, plurality, as far as left is as far as right, they're the same thing, So anyways, I'm getting off my soapbox now.
That was a fantastic chat. You challenged me and like to think about things in a different way. And like, I really like what you said about making things work in this kind of nasty society in a way that works for you. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have to sit on some stuff. I don't know if you can hear, but my housemate's like blow drying her hair, so it's probably really.
I can't hear that at all.
Oh, great!
I can't hear that at all. So I don't know.
This was a great chat. Thank you for joining me on Hi Friends. Is there anything that you would like to promote, advertise, your social media projects, where people can find you, get in touch, or support what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you for that. First of all, I want to say that this was an excellent conversation. I just want to say thank you for challenging me. I knew that coming in, we have different opinion on, one major thing in particular. So But anyway, but I really enjoyed myself here today. Yes, sure. Any listeners wanted to hear more of something, stuff like that, you can follow Big Talk with Christian Henley on Spotify and also Apple Podcasts. Um, and what do you do on YouTube? But again, my name is Christian. My particular social media, I only have Instagram, is at commercial Christian. That's at commercial Christian. Spelled like the religion. Christian is spelled like the religion.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll meet up soon in LA.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Come on up.
Okay, maybe next time I'll be on your podcast.
Yes, 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 yes. I love to have you. You know, we can recreate this conversation in a way.
All right. Have a great day, and I'll
Thank
chat
you
with
so
you
much.
soon.
And that's the show. I hope you liked it. Bye, friends.